Hey everybody, Chad here. In this video, we're going to talk really quickly about your environment. Your environment is more important than your heredity. Your environment you allow yourself in is more important than your genetics. Okay, that's how strong your environment is. The environment you allow yourself into. Your environment is going to make you or break you. Your environment is going to change you for the better or change you for the worse. Okay? Your environment is going to have abundance flow into your life, have everything you want flow into your life, or it's going to do the direct opposite where it's repelling everything from you. Okay, that's going to be caused by the environment we allow ourselves into. Now, if you only stay with me a couple minutes here, I'm going to do you a favor here because I'm going to get right to the point. We have to be careful of our environment. You have to right now, you need to sit back and think, what environments are you in throughout the day? What environments are you in consistently? Okay. Are these good environments or are these bad environments? Okay. That's what we have to assess about ourselves. That's what we have to start becoming aware of. Once we're aware of it, we can start making little changes to our environment. Now, let me give you some examples. I mean, one of the reasons why I started doing videos on environments is because when I came back to Ohio, what happened was I came back from Thailand. I lived in Thailand for 1 year, and I came back to visit family. I had all my stuff here, my car and stuff like that, rather than sitting in California. So when I first came back, it's not really confusing, but I knew I probably was going to stay a year because this was the last year my nephew was in high school. He's a senior year, so that way I go to his football games, his wrestling practices, and wrestling tournaments and stuff like that. Kind of be a part of that for his last year. But what happened was when I came, I did stay for that whole year. Right now, it's been almost a year and a half, but I didn't make a firm decision. So then I kept on making, well, I'll be here for a few months. Then after a few months, I would extend it for a few months. And after a few months, I would extend it for a few months. I wouldn't make a firm decision. So what I ended up doing was I ended up working in a factory. I never worked in a factory before. So that's what kind of led me into working for a factory. So I'm kind of thinking, well, I'm only going to be here for a few months. It's a quick job. You can just get right into, you don't have to go through 2 or 3 months of interviews and stuff like that, kind of waste your time. So I thought, well, I'm only going to be here for a few months. I can put up with it for a few months. But fast forward 1 year, because it's been a little bit over a year now. I'm going back to Thailand in November. Everything's already set up and bought and stuff like that. My tickets and stuff like that. So I am 100% going back in the beginning of November. But one of the things when we talk about environment, when you go inside the factories, now if you have factory background, you understand this 100%, it's not the best environment, okay? It's a very, like when I stepped into it, it's very 1950s. Now I was alive in the 1950s, but if I can imagine how it was in those types of settings, factories, automotive plants and stuff like that, how people talk to you, they're screaming at you, not giving you breaks, working you to death. That still goes on today. I mean, sitting in your supervisory meetings, like right in the beginning of your shift, and they're screaming at you, threatening you, if you don't like it, there's a time clock, you can go to clock out, go home. It's a very demeaning type of job. It's a very demeaning type of environment. Now, on top of that, that's how you kind of getting treated, but then you're around all the other employees, how they think, because a lot of them's been in that environment since they're 18 years old. I'm just kind of coming in as almost like quick little money, but they've been in it since they're 18 years old, right after they got out of high school. They've been in the factory environment. So they've been mainly conditioned to believe a certain way about life, okay? More on the negative side. And what I saw was, it's kind of sad because you see people, their dreams are crushed. Once you go inside that environment at 18, their dreams are crushed, and those dreams are crushed very quickly. Within 3 to 6 months, their dreams are crushed. They come from high school, wanting to conquer the world, have all these dreams, all these goals they want to do in life, and they work inside that environment. Within 6 months, Their environments, their dreams, their goals they want to achieve for their life are crushed. They start believing they can't do it because the environment causes that. That's what we have to understand. That's why your environment is more important than your heredity. That's why your environment is more important than your genetics. It's where you allowing yourself to be in. What environment are you allowing yourself to be in? Okay. And how often are you in there? And you have to really take a true look at yourself, a very honest, a brutal, honest look at yourself and look at your life for you to change it. Okay. You don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to sit there and tell me or sit there and post it on social media. But you really have to sit back and take an honest look at your life, an honest look at the environments you allow yourself into, because those environments are going to make you and break you. It's just that. And, I used to think back in the day, when I was younger, we're always taught like, oh, we can change the environment. We can go in and, change a company's culture and change a company's environment from negative to better. We can go in any environment and change it. But nowadays, it's not that I don't 100% believe it, but I tend to, as much as I know about laws of the universe, laws of attraction, laws of abundance, human psychology, not just the laws of abundance, laws of attraction, but just human psychology, how our brain works, I tend not to believe it anymore, because you're going to, if you're in a bad environment and you just consistently are in that bad environment, you're not pulling away from it. Okay. You're not coming in, doing a lecture, then going back to your positive environment, coming in, doing a lecture, going back to your positive environment, something like that. You're inside this environment, this negative environment over and over and over and over again, day after day. Well, that environment is going to slowly change you. Okay. For example, if human psychology is, if you inside a negative environment and you start disagreeing with what's going on in that environment, if you stay in that environment long enough, what you disagree about, you're going to end up over time accepting it. That's just human psychology. Okay. Same way if you move into an area where maybe a lot of petty theft goes on, maybe a lot of drugs go on and stuff like that. Well, if you stay in that environment long enough, you start accepting it. It doesn't bother you as much anymore. It's just every day of life. Okay. When in the very beginning, it really bothered you. But now let's kind of fine tune it a little bit. It could be something like your environment is, you go inside your environment, you want to conquer the world, you have these dreams, you have these goals, maybe you want to work remote, travel the world, okay? Maybe you want your dream house or your dream car. Now you go inside a negative environment like a factory, you start talking to people about, this is what I want to do, I want to work remote 100% of the time, I want my dream house, my dream car, there's a lifestyle I want to live, I want to live by the beach, I want to give to charities, whatever it is, you start talking out loud to people, then what do they start doing? They start crushing your dreams. They start saying, well, you can't do that. Or you're living in a dreamland. That's not reality. Or they start laughing at you. Ha 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 ha, Chad. Ha 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 ha. You're over here in this factory. Ha ha ha. You know what I mean? That's what I'm kind of making a funny, but that's what people do. Okay, that's what starts crushing your dreams a little bit. Then what ends up happening, you start fluffing it off. You don't believe it. But you don't take yourself out of that environment either. So you stay in that environment day after day, week after week, month after month, maybe year after year. Okay. Sooner or later, you start believing what everybody else used to make fun of you about. In the beginning, you didn't believe it. You fluffed it away, but you stayed in that environment. Then sooner or later, you start believing all the hogwash. You start believing all the BS, what they've been telling you, that you can't do it. You can't have what you want. You can't attract abundance. You can't have goals come to you, whatever you want, because we all want different things in life, So but you start believing it. And that's the sad part. Okay, that's why, again, I'll repeat myself. That's why your environment is more important than your heredity. Your environment is more important than your genetics. Okay, well, so what environment are you allowing yourself into? Maybe, maybe it's a job. Maybe it's friends, best friends you hang around. Okay, maybe it's a significant other. I've seen that too. You're doing all this personal development. Okay, you're changing for the better, but your significant other doesn't. Okay, so lots of times what happens in human psychology, especially when we are in a relationship, lots of times we're not toe to toe. Okay, and what I want to say, in kind of in consciousness. We're not like to usually, usually we're kind of gapping a little bit. They're close to us. They're not too far away from us. If they're too far away, we wouldn't be in a relationship with them, but we're close. Sometimes we're here, but usually it's something like this. Okay. But what happens is when we start doing a lot of personal development, we just start doing, we want to change. We want to change for the better. We want, we get into, maybe it's law of attraction, laws of abundance, stuff like that. Maybe we just want a better life. We don't want to put a definition on stuff. You know what I mean? But what happens is when you do personal development, you stay with it. You stay on a cool routine. Okay, a morning routine, bedtime routine. You start paying attention to environments. You allow yourself in. You start hanging around better and better people that start thinking like you, or how you want to think upon success. Did I say sex? But anyway, success. But anyway, what starts happening is your significant other stays down here, but they're not into it. So then you start climbing. Okay. Then what happens is you start getting this big spread here, where this person down here is like the crab mentality. This person down here starts pulling you down because they don't want you too far away from how they think, too far away from their mentality. Okay. So they have this like crab mentality, and they start pulling you down. They have a rope and they start pulling you down. And how do they do this? Okay, maybe most of us have been in this situation. Probably, as a maybe we had a girlfriend, boyfriend, maybe a significant other, maybe we've been married, maybe we experienced it even in friendships. It doesn't have to be a significant other. Where how do they pull you down? Well, they usually pull you down by ridicule. They usually start making fun of you. Make sense? They usually start, oh, you can't do this. Why are you believing all this stuff? Successful people scam people. They start doing that kind of stuff. But since you live with them, since you spend most of your time with them, and they're comfortable saying that stuff to you because they're comfortable being around you, okay, they just don't stop. And you're just, besides arguing, but you're still listening to it day in and day out and day in and day out. Then what usually what starts to happen? Well, you start coming down to meet them again. Okay. You start believing their mentality. So our environment has different roles. Okay, we could look at negative environments at work. Okay. At work, it takes up at least minimum 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. If you have more of a career job, or you just do a lot of OT, it could take up 60 hours, 70 hours a week, where that's your main environment you're in. Your second main environment is going to be your home environment. What's your home environment? Well, your home environment is where your significant other or your friends. So those are going to be your two main environments that you're going to sit back and look at and really do a self-assessment. So this is kind of something I did a little bit, even being in Ohio for a short amount of time. And I mean, like a year and a half is relatively a short amount of time. And what I found was, like, when I was working in the factories on and off for like a year, that, I was getting more negative. I was even getting more like, well, can I still work remote? Can I still go to Thailand? Can I still travel the world? Can I still, even though that's what I want to do, I start second guessing myself. Okay, because I'm allowing myself in these negative environments, and the negativity is going to rub off on me. Then I started noticing, like, when I hung around family, my sister, brother-in-law, I was more like grumpy, more. I was tired because it takes a toll on you because it's a physical job, but But overall, I was kind of coming from here. I was slowly kind of going down just from my environment. So then I kind of switched gears, quit that, went to more of an office setting. Then just almost like that, things just started changing. Just being in a better environment, having better conversations with the people. Then even within a couple weeks, things start kind of attracting to me. Things I need to get done or I wanted to get done. All of a sudden, somebody knows how to do it. And it's like bam, 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 all from changing my environment. And I'll give you some examples super quick, and we're going to wrap this up because I don't want to talk more and more and more on this. It's been like 16 minutes. But when I went back into a better environment, before this happened, before I took another job, what happened was my back car was bald. Okay, now I have a 350Z. So the back tires, especially being in a small town, I'm not like in a big city, I'm thinking right away, oh my God, that's going to cost me $500. It's going to be $250 per tire at least, and it's going to cost me $500 to replace 2 tires on the back of the 350Z. Now the 350Z, the back tire is a little bit bigger than the front, so front tires are different than the back. So then I'm thinking, right away. Then I'm thinking I'm going to Thailand. I'm going to spend $500 on the tires. I got to do it. So I'm driving back and forth, and they're super bald. I mean, if I shave my head, that's how bald they were. So, and at the same time, the car was kind of hesitating a little bit, like in the engine. So I'm thinking, dude, I'm in a small town again. I don't have connections like I used to. So then that could be $500. It's going to cost me $1,000 to get my car fixed. Okay. So then I switched my environment and went to this new job, and it was, 30 minutes away in a different town. So then I start calling around to fix my tires. So then I called Walmart. They were closed in my town, but I called since I was driving to the new town. So I thought, well, I'll just call the Walmart there. They didn't have the tires, but they referred me to a place. Okay, and then I had to wait for it to open because I was up kind of early. So then I went to work. I was asking at work, well, where's a good place to buy tires? They referred me to the same place that Walmart did. So I went there, and instead of it costing me $500, it cost me $68, like $30 a tire, like in a small town. I'm just like, yes, you know what I mean? Then my engine light was on because I knew something was wrong with airflow or something like that. Then they had a car tester. I could test my battery, test the engine light. So the engine light came up with, it was just the cam position sensors. So I just buy it. So I bought the part, had someone install it. Okay, the parts came to like $100, and I paid someone $30 to put it in for me. So $130 plus the tires, it cost me $200. So $200, I'm thinking it's going to cost me $1,000. So that's how quick your environment will change things, giving you deals. Another thing was, the whole time I've been here, I've been thinking about taking a motorcycle course, get my motorcycle endorsement. Now, I don't need my motorcycle endorsement for Thailand. Okay, the United States is way different. Thailand, you don't need a motorcycle endorsement because tons of people drive motorbikes and motorcycles in Thailand, so you don't need it. But one of the reasons why I want to do the motorcycle endorsement here and take the class is because that way I get used to kind of shifting and stuff like that. Because in Thailand, you drive on the opposite side of the road. You drive on the left-hand side instead of the right. So I didn't want to be thinking about shifting at the same time I'm thinking about staying on the left-hand side of the road. Now I do own a motorbike in Thailand, but it's an automatic. But I wanted to get more of a motorcycle in Thailand too, kind of have two. So then, but I didn't tell anybody. That's like, I think I told my brother-in-law and stuff like that, but I didn't tell nobody at work. But one day I walk in and they get on this conversation about how everybody took a motorcycle course and it was so fun. So I was thinking, well, that's kind of funny because I've been thinking about doing one myself. I was like, oh, you should do it, Chad. It's fun. We had a fun time doing it. We went together as a little group. And so then they ended up referring me where they went, and it was only like $50. You know what I mean? And it was just something I've been thinking about doing that I didn't tell anybody. But it just became like, you see what's happening here? Once I changed my environment, once the environment made me more happy, once the environment made me more a positive outlook, and I was hanging around people that was happy, more positive about life and stuff like this, things just started like kind of jumping in place rather than being in this negative environment where I used to be. You know, that's how quickly, and this is kind of an example how quickly abundance can come into our lives. Sometimes we always hear people say this, once we get in alignment, okay, lots of times things aren't coming to you is because, boom, you're not aligned with it. What you want is way up here, but your mentality, your vibration is way down here. But once you get closer to it and you meet it, it comes to you like that. That's what we have to understand, is once we get aligned with it, things will just start popping in your life so quickly, okay? Like what you want will just start coming to you, or you just sporadically just run into somebody that can make what you want happen. and at the time, you're not really looking. Most of the time, it's from the environment you're in. The environment, you've changed that environment, and that's what's kind of manifesting itself to you. Another important thing is if you're in a negative environment, it's making you negative. Once you change your environment to more of a happy environment, it makes you more happy. When you're more happy, you're more abundant. Things are going to flow to you. Let's wrap this up. It's been like 22 minutes. I really didn't want this video to go on this long. So I'm getting ready to mow. I came in here to actually check the oil and the gas on the lawnmower. So I have to go pick up, maybe pick up a little thing of oil. Don't need oil, but pick up some gas. And so I'm probably going to mow today. But anyway, blessings to you, and make sure you comment below. Let me know what's working for you, what you're struggling with, if you're comfortable with that. And other than that, my friends, blessings to you, and I'll see you in the next video.